today is August 19 and we're in Bergen, Norway.
Have it both for women and for men. Well, so remember here on now my left side, exhibition and Galleriet. Today they're open until 6 o'clock because it's Saturday. And also now when we're turning, let's see on the left side, we have Torgallmenningen. Torgallmenningen, which is the pedestrian street, the biggest pedestrian street, which starts with a monument to the seamen. Well, here on my left side we have the Fishers Market. The fish market, which is open every day of the year, and it's been a very, very long tradition dating back to 1000, year 1000. So this is one of the largest traditions in the city of Bergen and in the city center. Well, now when we're turning, if you see straight ahead, we have the entrance of the funicular. The white building is the entrance of the funicular that takes you up to Mount Fløyen. Here also on my right side we have the American Embassy, McDonald's. Well, but you can have it as a meeting point. Also here on my right, you see here it's a store called Tre Kronaren. It's a very, very popular hot dog stand. Very, very popular hot dog stand. And they say that if you come to Bergen, you have to at least have one hot dog there at the Tre Kronaren. You have deer meat. It's very special. So I recommend that you go there. Here on my right side, you have the Cross Church. The Cross Church. Almost all of the churches in the city center are Lutheran churches, except for the one church that you were, St. Paul Church. And now if you can look on the green top over there, we're gonna see the church in a few seconds on our left side. It's Domkirke, also a Lutheran church. What's really cool about the building itself, more than the church, what's very cool about the building is that you can see a bullet here in the front. The bullet got encrusted there when there was a Battle of Bergen here in the entrance of the fjord, and the bullet got all the way here, and it's been encrusted ever since. It's from 1665. A very, very long time. Alright, so here from afar we're gonna see the Hanseatic houses. The Hanseatic houses, which are sort of a landmark here in the city of Bergen. So the Hanseatic League, they arrived here in Bergen and opened their first office in Bergen in 1360, around 1360. This is a German league, which was a commercial fleet that commercialized different products from Europe. And what they found in Norway, especially here in Bergen, was the dried fish. The dried fish which was brought from north, from Lofoten. Further up in Norway, they brought it here in Bergen, and they commercialized it to the rest of Europe. So the special interest for Bergen, besides being a very big and centric dock in Scandinavia, it was also this product, the dried fish. Dry fish can hold 40-50 years, no problem. So that's why it can be preserved, yes, for 40-50 years, no problem. So that's why it was so important for them. So here on our right side we see the Hanseatic houses. So in that time, mainly the houses were built of wood. They were built out of wood. And let's remember that Bergen in Norway was a poor city, a poor country. So all of the buildings, or most of the buildings of the people, were in wood. Only the people that had a lot of money, richer people, could build in stone. So because of it, because so many buildings were built in wood, there were also a lot of fires in the city center. So the houses that we see nowadays, none of them are from 1360. They're all newer. They're not super new. There are some from the 1900s, 1800s as well. But none of them are from the 1300s because of all of the fires. And this neighborhood in particular that we're entering, called Nordnes, it was also affected from several fires. One of the biggest ones was in 1916 that burned half of the city, half of the buildings of the city center. And then again, every time there was a fire, they built it up again.
O, tayo na daw. Babalik na. Parang nasa marina ka lang naman.
At yan na.
Okay, everybody.
Alright, so now we're entering Bergen. Bergen, which means the dock. The dock. So here, as mentioned earlier, we have the Hanseatic houses. The Hanseatic houses from the Hanseatic League. We mentioned that Bergen was very important in terms of commercialization of the dry fish. And this lasted for around 400 years. So this was a very, very long time that the Germans were placed here. This was the German neighborhood. And if you can listen to the Bergen accent, the Bergen dialect, it has a lot of influence from German. And the Bergen people, they don't pronounce the R as in Spanish like R. They do it as the Germans, like So this is the influence that the Germans had here in Bergen. And also, during the Second World War, the Germans, they came back to their neighborhood. So there in the Hanseatic houses is where they had the main quarters for the Nazis were having their main quarters there. Headquarter during the Second World War. So during the war, Norway and Bergen was invaded in the first weeks, and it took only a day to invade Bergen. They came from Askøy, which we're gonna see a little bit later. We're gonna see from afar the island of Askøy, and they had a massacre where they murdered most of the people in Askøy, and they entered Bergen easily during the morning. And they took Bergen, and Bergen was held hostage during the entire Second World War. After the World War was finished, there was the manifestations for the Hanseatic neighborhood, or the German neighborhood, to be burned down, to be exterminated. There was a lot of hard feelings, and it was very recent, all the Second World War. But then in 1969, it was promoted, sort of, as a landmark. It's one of the UNESCO's protected neighborhoods, so they cannot do anything about it. And it took a little bit of time for the local people to accept it, because it was still very, very recent. But nowadays, it is no longer looked as or associated in any way with the Second World War, in any way. And people are actually very proud of the Bergen, of the houses. So here, on our left side, we have what used to be like the storage for the houses, for the stores in the Hanseatic League. So back then, there wasn't a road like this. This was all water. So these were in the middle of the water. Yeah, so these were in the middle of the water, and the reasons were two. One, to keep rats away from their food, and secondly, for the thieves. The thieves were not gonna come all the way here to steal and take it swimming all the way back. So it was very smart. And nowadays we have newer buildings, but it's mandatory from the city hall that all of the newer buildings have to have like the same architecture. All right, so in this neighborhood, back in the days, it was mainly for the families of the sailors that were from Bergen. So they lived here in this neighborhood. This wasn't a part of the city center. This was outside of the city center back then. So in these houses, if you can see them, they're not actually super big. They're like not even regular size houses. They're pretty small actually. But back then, big families lived there. We're not talking about 2, 3, 4 people. We're talking about 10, 12, 15 people living in one of those houses. Because they didn't only live the parents and the kids. It was the parents, the grandparents, the kids, the aunts, uncles, everyone living in the same house. Very, very big houses. And let's not forget that Norway was a poor country. So the economy wasn't big. So when they were coming from the countryside to the big city or to the city center, they had to help each other out. Okay, so now we can see a panoramic view of Askøy. It's the island that I mentioned earlier. Right in front of me and to my right side, you have the island of Askøy. And a little bit further down the way, we're gonna see the bridge that connects Askøy to the rest of Bergen. It's a sort of San Francisco kind of bridge. Like the Golden Gate kind of bridge over there to my right side. That all of that is the island of Askøy. That's where the Nazi invasion started from Askøy and into the city center. Well, nowadays Askøy is about 20 minutes away from the city center, so it attracts a lot of young couples that are starting up a family because it's much less expensive, and also it's got this amazing and wonderful view. And it's just outside of the city center, but they still get better weather than we do.
Look at that big crabs. This is what we're eating at the fish market. Fish and chips. Pare-pareho naman fish and chips.
Is white
White ano? Oh, say hi. Fish and chips din yan.
Please, alam ko na ilan ang nilapad.
Three hours later.
We are now in the city of Bergen,
So
where we're
you can
gonna
have a walk
stay
later,
for
but don't
2
forget your
weeks.
umbrella. And
We're now
tomorrow,
approaching our hotel
tomorrow
for
is
2 nights.
Saturday, right? Sunday. Tomorrow breakfast is gonna start at 7, and then we are going to meet at 8. Okay, at 8 o'clock. And then what we are going to do tomorrow is we're gonna have a cruise for 3 hours. So it's better to grab something for the wind. We never know how wind is gonna be. And after we'll have some time in the city, shopping, and we can have a walk and show you a very nice neighborhood here. And we'll have some free time for lunch, walk, and then Javier and I, we and Joaquin and Agustin, our drivers, we would like to show you something nice here in the afternoon. Tomorrow we have mass. We have to go before dinner. Okay, now with the hotel we're gonna check all the schedules.